Hi everyone, I'm Jed Schlackman. I work as a holistic counselor as well as a spiritual energy healer and hypnotherapist. For this video, I'll be speaking about a couple of metaphysical topics that you'll often hear discussed by other people or in other materials that you might read. These are the ideas that the external world or external reality functions first as a mirror for consciousness, and also the idea that all the world's a stage where human beings, in a sense, are acting out different parts and roles in a greater drama for our souls to explore themselves, to master different aspects of life. So we'll explore a little bit about each of these concepts or ideas. First, looking at the mirror concept, the idea is that everything ultimately originates from consciousness, from a spiritual intelligence that's observing or becoming aware of itself and using the medium of the physical plane of existence for this self-reflection process. So from that perspective, physical reality is reflecting things back to the consciousness, back to the self, in order for the self to know and understand itself more fully and deeply. One of the ways in which this reflection process is recognized or becomes apparent is with our physical body, and how the physical body tends to reflect particular issues that are present in the mental and emotional bodies, those non-physical aspects of the self that are parts or layers of one's consciousness. You can even find whole books that are created as kind of a dictionary or encyclopedia to review what are the meanings, what is the representation of different parts of the body and different health issues or diagnoses that a person might be experiencing. The understanding there is that what's happening in your physical body is being used by the consciousness or by the soul to reflect something that's in some way out of balance or distorted in that individual's consciousness. You can think of it as there is the soul, which is at its core in a state of balance and wholeness, in a state of harmony, and then as that stream of consciousness and energy projected or radiated out from the soul into this physical incarnation as the human life experience, as it goes through a developmental process of creating this personality self that's thinking of itself as a human being. Well, that personality self develops different types of distortions and imbalances that are in some way out of congruence or in disharmony with the soul, and those get reflected through things that are happening with the body. This is not to discount or negate that there are things in a more direct physical sense that are triggering or creating health issues. So certainly your physical exercise, your sleep, your diet, your physical environment, things like toxins you're exposed to, particular injuries you may experience, all of those are obviously in a more direct way creating or fostering symptoms in your physical body. But even when those are present, there's often some underlying issues related to your consciousness that are being reflected by what's happening in the body. And if those issues weren't present in the consciousness, there wouldn't be the particular vulnerability to the physical condition being triggered by the physical factors. For example, people are exposed to different forms of toxins in the modern world, and different people exposed to the same thing will not all get sick, or if they develop illnesses, they'll develop different kinds of illnesses depending on the imbalances or vulnerabilities that are present in their particular consciousness or personality. So people with a certain type of personality might be inclined to develop a particular type of illness, and that manifests often when the combination of the consciousness pattern and the physical environment triggers come together. So that's one way we can look more deeply at different health issues we might be experiencing. It's not to say that it's one or the other. It could be both factors involved. And usually the consciousness element is a vital part of the equation of how and why you're developing a particular condition. So that's an example of this mirror concept of how physical reality is mirroring things that are present in consciousness. We can also look at things that are more of an intuitive nature, where we might see certain signs or symbols appearing in our life, certain synchronicities, certain patterns or themes that seem to recur in one's life. Those can be indicative of something that's going on in your consciousness, and that's something to reflect on for yourself, to see if there's something that your soul or your higher consciousness is seeking for you to learn or understand, to gain more awareness of. As you do gain more awareness, it's as though you're coming more into harmony with your own greater self, what you could call your soul or higher self. So that's something we can all consider more in our lives, this idea that physical reality is providing a mirror of some sort for us to learn and grow, rather than looking at life as happening to us in a sense, as though life is there rewarding or punishing us in some way. We can look at life as a tool that the soul is using to help gain greater understanding and greater mastery of consciousness itself. So if things are happening in our life and we're becoming anxious or fearful, if we're becoming angry, jealous, resentful, etc., it could be an opportunity to check in with ourselves and pause and look at what is present in your own consciousness that led to you reacting in those ways to life. What are your deep core beliefs? What are the things that you believe to be true about yourself or about life and the world around you that led you to develop those reactions, those ways of perceiving your life experience? Next, I want to shift to this metaphor of a stage. Many people have heard the phrase that came from Shakespeare, the Shakespeare plays, where it was stated, all the world's a stage. And the idea there is not that everything happening in our physical reality or things we're seeing on the news, etc., are things that are scripted and staged by people. Not to say that some of that isn't occurring, but the metaphysical meaning there is that our soul is generating these personalities, these human characters, to play these different roles of human beings, to have this very wide range of experience. And through all those different characters being played, all these different human experiences, we're developing and evolving our consciousness as souls. So you can think of it as though the soul looks at this physical playing field, in a sense, or game construct, as an opportunity to try out all these different characters and learn through that process. Just like a person might be playing a video game of some sort, where it's a role-play game, where you're choosing a particular character to play in that game, and that character has certain particular qualities or attributes or capabilities, and within the game there are different particular paths you can choose, or different storylines that you can explore. So we're doing something somewhat similar to that as souls. Before we're incarnating here in our particular lifetimes, we're kind of planning out in a general way what are the themes that might be present in a lifetime, what are the qualities of that character that you're going to express yourself as in that lifetime, what are some of the major challenges that you're going to face as that character, who are the other characters who are going to be part of that drama with you, which are really other souls that are choosing to play these other human beings, so you can all kind of collectively support each other in this learning process, even though as the human being you're not consciously aware of being the soul making the choice to play that character, to be present in that particular drama. So if we can remember that perspective, it can often help us kind of have more peace and acceptance with our lives, more acceptance of ourselves, understanding that we've actually chosen at that level to come here into this human experience. And it's more about enjoying this process of playing in this drama, in these characters, rather than having self-judgment or self-condemnation. It's not that we're succeeding or failing, it's just we're continuing to grow and evolve in this process. And we have countless lifetimes to live and explore. So it's not that you're just having that one life, and that one life is going to be looked at as a complete success or failure. It's that you may have had a certain kind of lesson planned for that lifetime, certain basic outline of what your soul was hoping to explore and experience and build some mastery with. And as the human self or personality, you might reach a certain level of accomplishment within that plan. It's usually not going to be 100%, and that's okay. You get to review that life afterwards and continue your lessons and learning process in other incarnations, in other lifetimes. Some of them may be here as humans, some of them may be other beings, other places in the universe or the galaxy, etc. So there's really pretty much infinite possibilities of what souls can choose to explore, to incarnate into, in a sense. And the exploration process doesn't have a limit to just physical incarnations. When we're in the non-physical dimensions, we're also learning and growing there. So it's a very multifaceted, multidimensional process. It's not something that we can really completely wrap our human mind around, because it's at a level of processing that transcends what we're really able to experience here while we're incarnated in a human body with our human brain, and those constrictions or limits on what we're processing. You could think of Creator, God, Source, as this infinite consciousness and energy that doesn't have limits in what it's processing. So all of these different lives are contributing to that one original self. I hope that this hasn't kind of overloaded or overwhelmed your mind or your ability to conceive of things. And I hope that this discussion has given you some things to contemplate or ponder about life and about how you're learning and growing and evolving along your path, as well as what perspective are you attached to as you observe your life, as you observe other people, as you react to other people around you, as you react to anything that you perceive occurring in the external reality. So if you find yourself reacting with frustration and anger and fear and guilt and shame and all those different emotional energies, then you can explore, how am I seeing life? What do I believe about life that's fostering those patterns, those loops to continue to unfold? And what's a way I could look at things that might help lighten things up, that might bring me more peace, more joy, more patience, more compassion, more acceptance, more balance and equilibrium as you're navigating your life experience. For those that are interested in spirituality and holistic health topics, I invite you to visit my website, which is phinsights.com. That's phinsights.com. You'll find many different links and educational resources there, as well as information about the services and events that I share. You'll also find a page with some information on books I've published, such as Consciousness, Creation, and Existence, The Guide to the Grand Adventure, where I go into more depth about those spiritual topics that I've begun to share in this particular video. I'd like to wish each of you a wonderful day. Namaste.